Beyond Meat has been on fire since its IPO back in May. The stock is up over 160% since, and the question that I want to answer in today's video is this growth sustainable? Is there more growth in store for the future? And I'll just give you guys my overall thoughts on the company and whether I think it is a good time to buy. What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Brandon. We post a video every week, so make sure you subscribe, and don't forget that we are having a sale on right now till the end of the month on our stock market investing course for beginners. That'll be that first link down in the description below. Now, we all know Beyond Meat. It's the company that's seemingly taken the world by storm. They make plant-based meat, the main ingredient here being derived from a pea protein. They don't only make burgers, they make beef, sausages. They have plans for other meats down the road, i.e. bacon. They like to call this here the future of protein. Now, the first thing that we have to address right off the bat for this video is, why do they have to pick CP3 to endorse the product, right? You got to go and pick the biggest crybaby in the NBA. And you look here, along with JaVale McGee, that right there is a bad sign. But in all seriousness, this seems to be a company with an awesome vision. They're out trying to supply the world with a healthier food choice for humans, a healthier meat alternative, I should say. Supposedly, this is better on the planet, better for animals, global warming, the whole deal. And just out of curiosity, leave a comment down below if you yourself have tried one of their products, if you tried one of their burgers, you tried one of these meat sources, and whether you liked it or not, because in my opinion, they are very good. I got the chance to try one of the Tim Hortons Beyond Breakfast burgers a couple weeks back, and I was very impressed. Now, they also have their products in A&W stores here in Canada, TGI Fridays. They just announced a partnership very recently with the company Blue Apron to start providing the plant-based option to their customers. That's going to be effective in August. And those are just a few to mention. It's actually just the start of probably a lot more to come. And if you're not so familiar with Beyond Meat, what I find very cool about their company is they're not only catering to the vegetarians, they're not out catering only to vegans and the hippie, healthy lifestyle people. Fun fact here is that they don't even like to classify as a veggie burger. Their products are actually stored and sold out of the meat section if you go to look at your local grocery store. So they got some big ambitions ahead of themselves for the company. They're expecting the alternative meat category to become a multi-billion-dollar market over time. They're trying to tackle and take significant market share from the $1.4 trillion global market for meat. They're essentially trying to mimic the strategy used in the milk industry, where traditionally we had milk from dairy sources. Well, nowadays, plant-based milk, soy drinks, coconut, almond milk, you name it, that actually makes up about 13% of a $2 billion industry. Now, that number is as of 2017, but clearly there's a big opportunity here for this company to come in and be a major disruptor in the space. Now, what can we take from this in terms of looking at Beyond Meat from an investment standpoint? Well, the stock is currently trading for just under $200. It's looking like $195 USD. It has a market cap of 11.75 billion, and like most growing companies, it does not pay a dividend. Now, if you're a usual viewer of the channel here, you guys already know my stance on IPOs, on new companies that are brought to the market. I typically tend to avoid them for two primary reasons. The first being the simple fact that a lot of these companies, a lot of these stocks are surrounded by a ton of hype. There's a ton of excitement, there's a ton of hype in trying to find this new hottest issue, the new hottest stock on the market, and that in and of itself often props up share prices a little more than I think is justified. And secondly, most new companies, most IPOs, they're often losing a boatload of money. In many cases, most of them are years and years away from even turning a profit. And that's what we can expect when you're a new company that's growing and they're expanding. There's a lot of costs associated with that, and most companies in that position are not making a bunch of money. Beyond Meat is no exception to that. Now, they actually do report their second quarter earnings next week on July 29th. I guess depending when you're watching this video, it'll definitely be an interesting report to keep our eye on. But by taking a look at their previous release, this one is dated June 6th, the company's net revenues increased by 215% year over year to $40 million. Now, they did post a net loss, however, of $6.6 million in the quarter. Again, very typical of what we can expect from a company that's growing and expanding. Now, knowing that a company is losing money, that doesn't mean that we can't make money on the stock. And I think of a company like Snapchat as a great example, a company that's been public for a while. They're still not making any money, but when they lose less money than expected, the stock gets rewarded. We saw this with their most recent earnings report. I found an article, the title here I find quite funny. Snap shares surge as results smash estimates. It sounds so awesome, right? Well, basically what that's saying is the company didn't lose as much money as everybody was expecting. So with that in mind, an investor can make money on a company, on a stock that's actually losing a bunch of money. It's very possible. So do I think that Beyond Meat is a good stock to buy? And despite a very strong business with what I believe to have a very strong future ahead of itself, if you ask me personally, for my own honest opinion from investor to investor, I know it's probably not what you want to hear, but I'd personally probably hold off. I'd wait a bit before I would consider jumping into the stock. I'm personally feeling right now that at the current moment, there is still a lot of hype that's propping up this stock. There's a lot of excitement that's being driven around the Beyond Meat craze, especially with it being this whole health conscious, very, very trendy stock in a very trendy industry. I think the share price is a little too high because of everybody that's wanting to jump in and get their hands on this stock. I'd personally wait for a bit of a pullback. And it is tough to analyze a company that's not making any money. We can't even find a PE ratio for the company, of course, because it has no earnings. But if we were to look at, for example, the forward price to sales ratio, in other words, the current share price relative to the amount of sales that this company is generating, we get a forward price to sales ratio of 52. Now compare that to the sector median here of 1.32. And as a rule of thumb, for anybody not familiar with this metric, typically the lower the better. What I'm trying to say here is that since the run this company's seen since its IPO, they're either going to have to sell a lot more burgers or substantially jack up the price on the burgers that they're already selling to grow into and to justify their current valuation. Now, as terrible as that does seem, I don't want it to come off like I'm bashing the company. In fact, of the major IPOs as of recently, this it probably is one of the more interesting ones for me personally. I think it's a super cool company. Again, I think they have an awesome vision. On a side note, I totally love their branding. I think that they've nailed that with the modern, the hip or kind of clean branding look. I think that's awesome. I love the endorsements. I love the athlete approach, despite bashing on a couple of them earlier. I think that they're doing everything right. They're on the right track. Even the name Beyond Meat is a cool name. That's a cool company name to me. And I do see long-term potential in this company, but with all the hype, and I do know that that sounds like a cop-out reason. It sounds like a silly reason not to invest in a company, but really, with all the excitement that it's driving, maybe you heard about this company at your workplace, maybe you read an article online, maybe that's why you're here watching this video, trying to learn more about the company. That to me does artificially prop up the share price. It makes it very tough to value. And I just personally would be a little more comfortable letting the stock die down a bit, hope for a pullback, which in my opinion will come. Opportunities will come. I think that's the better option rather than jumping in, caving into the FOMO with Beyond Meat, I guess we could call it. I'd be very interested in hearing what your thoughts are on Beyond Meat stock. Do you agree with my opinion? Do you not agree with my opinion? Feel free to leave a comment down below. I read them all. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed the quick video, I guess a quick overview or analysis, and then my opinion, feel free to give this one a thumbs up. And like I said, if you're not already subscribed, we post a video every week. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Don't miss out on our course sale, 25% off until the end of the month. That's ending July 31st, if that's something you're interested in. But as always, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.